The Washington Post had a huge story, a new report that they released about the CIA black sites and the torture that happened there under the Bush administration. And apparently some journalists were able to see some of the pages in the Intelligence Committee report, which the CIA is still forcing to be classified, and they're not allowing the Intelligence Committee to release it, even though Senator Dianne Feinstein said that she would. She's the head of the committee. But the details are absolutely gruesome, and they are totally damning. There are, quote, previously undisclosed cases of abuse, including the alleged repeated dunking of a terrorism suspect in tanks of ice water at a detention site in Afghanistan. The method never appeared on any Justice Department-approved list of techniques. So in other words, not only were they doing the torture that was pulled from the manuals, they were doing their own forms of torture. They were making it up as they go along. They were essentially acting as rogue units. All these different black sites were acting as rogue units, extrajudicial, and not even answering to the central command, which would be the federal government. Now, that's crazy. Just the fact that the government approved torture anyway, but they still went above and beyond it. I mean, that really shows you how out of hand this has gotten. Also, quote, millions of records show that the CIA's ability to obtain the most valuable intelligence information, including tips that led to the locating and killing of Osama bin Laden in 2011, had little, if anything, to do with enhanced interrogation techniques. You know what that means? It didn't work. We didn't get any information from torturing. And that's not a surprise to any expert on the issue. Even take John McCain, who was tortured himself. Okay, he says, look, when you torture somebody, they're just going to tell you whatever the fuck you want to hear. They're not going to give you accurate information. You're never going to get accurate information if you're torturing somebody. And again, this is verifying that and taking that idea and saying, look, it's true, man. We didn't get anything from it. Here's another question. Why did we have to waterboard Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, what was it, 183 times to get the answer that we wanted? Guess what? If waterboarding worked, wouldn't it have worked the first time? Wouldn't he have just said it? But they went on 183 times. And again, they didn't even get accurate information. They got the information that they wanted to hear. You torture somebody long enough, they'll say, all right, where do you want me to say to attack Iraq? Okay, yeah, attack Iraq. They're responsible for 9/11. And that's what, gave us some of the bad intelligence, among many other things like flat-out lies. But perhaps the most damning new revelation, quote, prisoners were sometimes subjected to harsh interrogation techniques even when analysts were sure they had no more information to give, said the report, which the Post said was based on interviews with current and former U.S. officials. So they tortured people just for the hell of it. Man, that old cliche, that old platitude, the saying that we've repeated on this show time and time again is so true. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Once you give somebody free rein and you say, yeah, you know what, here, we'll take our torturing methods from this communist Chinese manual on how to torture, and we're going to allow you to do it, which is actually where they got a lot of the methods from. And when you tell people you have complete control over the prisoners' lives, they took that power and they corrupted it even further, even though it was already corrupt. And then they started torturing people when there wasn't even a reason to do it in terms of trying to get information. God, man, it drives you crazy. How is the rest of the world going to look at this? What does this make the United States of America? That's my question. I mean, the fact that we killed Japanese soldiers after World War II because they waterboarded our soldiers. So if other people waterboard, it's torture and we kill you. We kill you. You get the death penalty. But if we do waterboarding, it's not torture, it's enhanced interrogation, and we'll also sometimes just do it for the fuck of it, not even do it when there's like some sort of goal, vaguely defined goal at the end of it. God, how is the world going to look at us? Clear violations of international law, the Geneva Conventions, the Nuremberg Tribunal, clear violation of the 8th Amendment to the United States Constitution. protection from cruel and unusual punishment. The government cannot administer cruel and unusual punishment, and that's exactly what they did in this case. There is no extrajudicial. That's a myth. There's no such thing as, oh, well, we'll just say that this place is outside of the law. Really? Then there's no law anyway. If at certain times you could just disregard it, there's no law. That means that there's no law. It's just anarchy. And that's what we're dealing with here. And the most important part, because I know a lot of conservative Republicans said at the time, and they probably still believe this, that, well, look, man, if you have that doomsday scenario where there's about to be a bomb that goes off in the middle of Cleveland during a baseball game, and this happens and that happens, and hey, you're going to have the torture. You got to do what you got to do. You got to save people, right? That ticking time bomb scenario that you see in the movies all the time. Well, number one, that scenario never happens. It never happens. It never happens. That's a myth. But furthermore, the people that we're torturing, they're not guilty. I know it drives people crazy when they hear that, but do you know where we got most of our prisoners at Guantanamo Bay, for example? You know where we got them from? The Bush administration made a deal with the Pakistani government after 9/11 and said, look, man, we just got attacked. You know, this is crazy, and we want to get the people who were responsible. So do us a favor, and if you know of any Al-Qaeda or jihadist elements in Pakistan, help a brother out. You know, let us know, and we'll go round them up, and then we'll send them to Guantanamo Bay, and we'll detain them and take care of it, you know. And you know what the Pakistani government did? They went out and they rounded up anti-Pakistani government protesters and said to the Americans, yeah, these are Al-Qaeda guys. Yeah, because, of course, the Pakistani government is so trustworthy, right? The Bush administration just said, okay, I guess they're Al-Qaeda. I guess they're jihadists. Lock them up. No trial, you know, no evidence of their guilt. We locked up people who were just protesting their government in Pakistan and thought, oh, well, there must be Al-Qaeda. They must be jihadists. That's what the leaders of Pakistan told us. The ways that we fucked up, man.